So node is nothing but it may be a user or a computer or a server. Okay, node is nothing but it's a computer where it is connected to the blockchain network. So as I said, this data hello, so this going to be converted into hash value. So that is a fixed length code of 16 character hexadecimal code. Whereas in the decentralized direct peer-to-peer transaction, there is no intermediary. Hello everyone, myself Chandana C, Faculty of Computer Science Department, Vidyashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So today we are in the session 2 of Unit 1 of the subject Blockchain Technology. So in this session, I am going to discuss regarding the topics blockchain architecture and components, then the structure of blocks, how the blocks look like, then what do you mean by hashing concept, then the chain formation process, how the chain is going to form. So what are the process? Then we have centralized versus decentralized system. Then what are the different types of blockchains? Then also the advantages and limitations and challenges of blockchain. So these are some of the topics today I am going to discuss in the session. So let us now move into the blockchain architecture. So what do you mean by blockchain architecture? How does it look? So it is a structure. We can say the architecture is a structure so that defines how data is stored and how it is verified and how it is shared in a blockchain network. So how we can define this architecture? So the blockchain architecture is nothing but it is a structure. So it is going to define so how the data is stored as well as how it is verified and shared in a blockchain network. Then it allows the participants to record the transactions. So what it is going to allow? It allows the participants to record the transactions securely without a central authority. Hence we can say blockchain is a decentralized system. Okay, so there is no central authority. So this structure is going to allow the participants to record the transactions securely. Understood? So this is how the structure of the blockchain looks. So here we have the application layer, layer 2, layer 1, layer 0 and hardware layer. So we will move from bottom up. Retake. So we will move from the bottom up. Okay. So initially we have hardware layer. So this contains the trusted hardware. Okay. So this layer contains the trusted hardware. Next we have in the layer 0, that is P2P network, peer-to-peer network. Okay. See here, each node is connected to each other. Next, at the layer 1, we have consensus. Next, we have in the layer 2 that it contains the state channel networks or the payment. Okay. Next, we have at the last applications. So, by using the different applications, that how the transaction is done in the application layer. Okay. So, this is how the structure of the blockchain looks. That is architecture we can say. So next we have the main layers of blockchain architecture. So which are the main layers we looked into? So in the previous slide, we looked about the architecture, right? So here we have hardware layer, layer 0, 1, 2 and application layer. So let us discuss one by one now. So initially we have application layer. So this layer is the top layer of the architecture. It provides the applications such as cryptocurrency, smart contracts and the supply chain management. So what it is going to provide, the application layer is going to provide the cryptocurrencies, then the smart contracts, that means digital contracts which we can perform digitally without manually. Then the supply chain management, okay, to maintain what are the products have gone from the company and all, supply chain management. We can manage through the applications. Okay, next, network layer connects all the nodes and it is going to enable the communication between them. Okay, network layer means it is going to connect all the nodes and it allows the communication. Okay, it enables the communication between all the nodes. Next, we have the consensus layer. So it is going to verify the transactions, okay, using some consensus algorithms like proof of work, that we call it as POW, and also the proof of stack, okay, POS. Next, we have the data layer. It's going to store the blocks, okay, containing the transaction data as well as the cryptographic hashes, okay. So these are the main layers of blockchain architecture. Retake. So these are the main layers of blockchain architecture. So next we will move into the components of blockchain. So what are the different components does the blockchain contains? So here we have the 6 different components of a blockchain. You can see in this diagram. So first thing, we have node. So here the node, we can call it as a server. Server also as a one node, as well as a computer or a user. So these are also can be called as a node, okay. Next, transaction. It is the smallest block, okay. Next, the block, that is digital ledger for set of transaction, okay. The block here, it means the digital ledger, okay. It's not a manual one. Next, hash. It includes a fixed length of code. Next, miners. So these are the nodes used for the verification. Next, we have consensus. It contains some set of rules to carry out the blockchain technology operations, okay. So these are some of the main components of the blockchain technology. So next we will discuss one by one briefly, okay. So initially we have a block. So what is this block? So that is, we call it as a container. It is going to store the transaction data, okay. So block is nothing but it is a container. It is going to store some transaction data. Then the block, that each block as a unique and linked to the previous block, okay. So each block is a unique and it is going to be linked to the previous block, okay. Next, we have the transaction. So it is a transfer of data or digital assets between the participants, okay. Transaction is nothing but it is a digital data, okay, or digital assets or transfer of data between participants. Next, every transaction is verified before adding it to a block, okay. So each and every transaction is going to be verified before that block is being added to the blockchain. Next, node. Node is a computer that is connected to the blockchain network. So node is nothing but it may be a user or a computer or a server, okay. Node is nothing but it's a computer where it is connected to the blockchain network. So nodes store the copies of the blockchain and it is going to validate the transactions, okay. So this is about the components. These are the 3 main components we have, which are those: block, transaction and node. So next, still more components we have, that is hash. So hash is nothing but it's a unique fixed length code, okay. It is a fixed length code generated from the block's data. Even a small change in the data, that is going to produce us a completely different hash, okay. So for example, hello, if I send hello message, so if the first letter is capital, so that produces different hash, okay. So if I send in the small letter H, okay, so this is going to produce some other hash, okay. So hence these two are different. That's why they are telling even a small change in the data, it is going to produce a completely different hash, okay. So this consensus mechanism ensures only a genuine transaction are added to the blockchain, okay. So why we need this consensus mechanism? So it is a process by which the network nodes agree on the validity of transactions. So only a genuine transaction are going to be added to the blockchain, okay. Next, distributed ledger. It is a shared digital database. So which one? Distributed means it is a digital database that is shared and it is maintained by all the participating nodes. So every participant has the same updated copy of the ledger. So if there are 4 participants, each and every participant will be having the same database ledger. Okay, so that's why distributed ledger is a main component in a blockchain. So what are the 6 main components we have? So initially we have block, then transaction, node, then hash, consensus mechanism, and distributed ledger. So these are the 6 main components we have in a blockchain. The next topic we are going to discuss about the structure of blocks. So each block in a blockchain, it is going to consist of 2 main parts. So what are those 2 main parts? The one is block header and another one is block body. So in the block header again, it contains the previous block hash as well as timestamp and nonce and also the Markle root. So what does this previous block hash means? It is going to link the current block to the previous block. Okay. So what does it mean? That means it is going to that previous block hash. It is going to connect to the previous block hash. Okay. So if you change any data there, so that previous block is going to change. Hence, that link is going to be invalid. Okay. So the block header contains the previous block hash. Then timestamp. What it is going to do, the timestamp, it records the date and time when that block is created. Next, we have nonce. This is a value used during the mining process. Okay. Next, Markle root, a single hash representing all transactions in the block. Okay. So hash means it contains a 64 character hexadecimal value. Okay. So it contains a 64 hexadecimal character. Okay. Like it says like 16, A, B, E, then 0, 2. So like that. So it contains 64 characters hexadecimal. So if one value changes also, the hash value is going to be changed. Okay. So here, hello, if I am sending the data hello, okay, so this hash value represents this means if I change this capital H to small h, then the whole 16 characters of hexadecimal will be changed. Okay. So Markle root, a single hash representing all transactions in the block. So this is how the hash value is saved in the Markle root. Next, we have block body. It contains a list of verified transactions and it also stores the transaction details permanently. Which one? Block body. So next we will look into the how the structure of blockchain looks. As I said, the block contains 2 main parts, that is head and body, right? So here we can see block 1 header, then block 2 header and block 3 header. So this hash value of the previous block header. So this will be contain the previous block header. So this first one will be, it contains 0 because this is a first block, it does not contain any previous block. Hence, the hash value will be 0 in the initial block, that is in the block 1. Hence, the block 2, it holds the hash value of the previous block, that is block 1's hash value. Okay, like this it looks. So this represents the transaction. See, the transaction of block 1 is 1 transaction, 2 and 3 transaction. Okay, so this contains the collection of transactions. Then it converts the root of hash tree. It is going to holds the number of transactions. Okay. So next we have the root of hash tree, that is holds the value in a hash value. As I said, it is a 64 character hexadecimal value. It holds the 64 character hexadecimal value. So each hash value calls the hash function to convert the hash value every time. Okay. As the transaction occurs, so it's going to convert the hash value through the hash function. Okay, this is how the structure of blockchain looks. So next we will look into a hashing concept. So till now we discussed hash number. What is this hashing concept? So it is a process of converting data into a fixed length code. So as I sent this data hello, so this going to be converted into hash value. So that is a fixed length code of 16 character hexadecimal code. So this is called hash function. So using the hash function, it is going to convert into hexadecimal number, 64 character hexadecimal number by calling the hash function. So this is how the hashing concept works. So you can see in the block 1. So if the transaction occurs, the previous hash will be 0 because as this is a block 1, so there is no any other previous block present here. So that's why the block 1 holds the hash value as 0. Then when it sends the data, then it holds the value, hash value, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So for your reference, we can't remember 64 character hexadecimal value. So that's why we are representing with the number. That is here for reference we have taken 1, 2, 3, 4 as a hash value. Okay. So as this is a hash value of block 1, so this will be stored in the previous hash. That is, you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4. So next, when the transaction occurs, again, so the block 2 hash value will be 5, 6, 7, 8. So this hash value will be stored in the next block, that is block 3. You can observe here, see previous hash. It holds a previous hash number. Then what is the current block 3 hash number? That is 8910. So like this, the blockchain hash works. Okay. So next we will move into the features of hashing. As it produces a fixed length output, S. So it contains 64 characters of hexadecimal value. It is fixed one. Okay, next. It's unique for different inputs. Yes, as I said, so if my data is hello, so this holds a 1 hexadecimal value means, so this is fixed one. Okay, EF 0, 2, 1, 6, like that. So unique for different inputs. Yes, so this hash value is unique for this data. If I change, so one data also from capital to small letter. Okay, if I change a single letter alphabet, okay, then the whole 64 character hexadecimal will be changed. Okay, this is different. This holds the different hash value. Understood? So any small change in the data creates a completely different hash. So as I said here, one-way process, it cannot be reversed. Ensures data integrity and security. So these are the features of hashing. So for example, see, hello. What is the hash value? If this is a hash value, if the input changes to hello, see, you can observe here, to the small h, then the hash becomes completely different. See, only a one alphabet I am changing, but the complete 64 character of hexadecimal value will be changed in hashing. Okay, so this is what the hashing features. Next, we will move on to the chain formation process. Okay, how the chain formed. The blockchain is formed by linking blocks together using the cryptographic hashes. So chain is nothing but linking, right? So linking the blocks using the cryptographic hashes. So this is how the blockchain is formed. So steps in chain formation. So let us look into a step, how it is created. So first thing, a user creates a transaction. Okay. So this transaction is broadcast to the blockchain network. So once the user creates a transaction, so that transaction is broadcast to the blockchain network. So once it is broadcasted, then the network nodes verify the transaction using a consensus mechanism. So verifies that transaction, whether it is a valid or invalid transaction. So verified transactions are grouped into a new block. If it is a valid transaction, after verifying, they are going to group into a new block. The new block, he is going to receive the hash of the previous block. Okay, the new block is added to the blockchain. So once the new block is created for the valid transaction, then that block is added to the blockchain. Then the updated blockchain is shared with all the nodes. Okay, so this is how the chain formation process occurs in the blockchain. Okay, so next let us see how this blockchain is going to work. So what is the first step? The transaction is requested by the user. Once a request by the user is occurred, then that block that represents the transaction is created. Once it is created, so that is sent to every node, that is broadcast to the blockchain network. Once it is broadcasted, then that is going to be verified whether it is a valid transaction or invalid transaction. So once it is verified done, then the nodes receive a reward for the proof of work. Yes, it is a valid transaction. If it is a valid transaction, then that block is added to the existing blockchain. Okay. After adding to the blockchain, then the transaction is complete. So this is how the whole blockchain works. Okay. So next we will learn about what is centralized and decentralized system. So in the diagram, you can observe centralized means there is a single authority at the center. See, centralized system with stored ledger. So only a central authority is having a ledger. So that is going to maintain the different person's ledger here. You can observe in the centralized one. Whereas in the blockchain system, it is decentralized. So each one of the users will be having their own ledger. See, decentralized system with distributed ledger. Here, each one of them will be having the ledger, the same ledger. Okay. So this is the difference between the centralized and decentralized system. So let us have a look into a differentiation, how we can differ this. So as we saw in a diagram, the centralized system, we observed that, so there was a centralized system, right? So controlled by one authority, S. Whereas in decentralized system, it was controlled by multiple participants, S. So you can observe in the diagram here. See, each one of them having their own ledger. So in the decentralized system, it is controlled by the multiple participants. So whereas in the centralized system, data stored in one location. Whereas in the decentralization, it is stored. Which one? The data is stored across the nodes. In a centralized system, if the single point of failure occurs, the whole system will be crashed. Whereas in the decentralized system, no single point of failure. If one node has failed also, we can operate from the other nodes. So the work will be in process. Next, in the centralized system, it is less transparent. Whereas in the decentralized system, it is more transparent because any updation or a transaction occurs, each and every participant will get to know, okay, about the transactions in the decentralized system. Hence, we can say it is more transparent. So, if we come to a centralized system, it is easier to manage because one centralized system is going to manage, right? It is easier to manage. But whereas in decentralized, it's more secure, but it is little complex. Next, whereas in centralized system, it depends on the intermediaries. But whereas in the decentralized, direct peer-to-peer transaction, there is no intermediary. So this is about the difference between the centralized and decentralized system. So next we will look into a types of blockchains. So how many types we have? We have 4 different types of blockchains. Which are those? Here we have public, hybrid, private and consortium. Okay. So let us discuss one by one now. So initially we have public. That means no central authority. So it is open to everyone. The public blockchain is open to everyone. So anyone can join or can read and they can validate the transaction. That's why we say it is a public blockchain. So then it is fully decentralized. Okay. So public blockchain is fully decentralized. So for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Okay. So this is regarding the public. It is a permissionless. Okay. Next, we have the private blockchain. Okay. So under which it comes private blockchain under permission. Okay. The private comes under the permission. Why private? Because it controlled by one authority. That's why we say it's a private blockchain. So it's controlled by a single organization. Only authorized users can participate faster and more secure for the business use. So the private blockchain is controlled by the one organization, that means single organization. So here only authorized users can participate in this. So hence it is a faster and more secure for the business purpose. Next we have consortium, that is federated we can say. So here blockchain is managed by a group of organizations, okay, and selected participants validate the transactions. It's used in banking and the supply chain applications. So which one? The consortium. So here we can see it's controlled by the group, whereas private is controlled by a single authority. So next we have at last hybrid blockchain. So that means it is going to combine both the features of public as well as private blockchains. That's why we say hybrid blockchain. Here some data is public, whereas sensitive data, it's going to be remain private. So offers the flexibility and better control. So this is about the types of blockchain. So how many types we have? We have 4 different types: public, private, consortium and hybrid blockchains. Okay, so this is about the types of blockchains. So next we have the topic called advantages of blockchain. So till now we discussed what is blockchain, how the structure of the blockchain, then what is called hash functioning, right? So what is centralized and decentralized system, then how the blockchain works. So now let us look into the advantages of blockchain. So first thing comes to your mind is it is decentralization. Yes, so there is no central authority controls for the network, and it is going to reduce the dependence on the intermediaries. Okay. Next comes the security. As we are using cryptography, hence this technology is going to protect the data as well as the transactions, and it is going to prevent the unauthorized access to the transactions. Okay. So that's why security is more in blockchain. Next comes the transparency. So as the transactions are visible to all the users or participants in a blockchain, hence we can say it's having more transparency and it is going to build the trust among the users. Okay, see, it builds trust among the users. Next, we have immutability. So what is the next advantage? Immutability. That means once the data is recorded and it cannot be easily modified by any of the participants or the users. Okay, so hence we can say immutability. Next, we have the faster transactions. So as it enables the peer-to-peer transaction, and it is going to reduce the settling time. Hence, we can say it's a faster transaction. Next, reduced cost. So it is going to eliminate the intermediaries. There is no intermediaries to pay the amount for them. Hence, it is going to reduce the cost for the lower transaction and also for the operational cost. So these are the some of the advantages we can see in the blockchain. Next, we have the challenges. So what are the challenges we are going to face in the blockchain? First thing is scalability. Okay, so what is this scalability? It tells handling a large number of transactions efficiently is difficult. Okay, as a number of users are going to add, hence it is difficult to handle the large number of transactions. Okay, so one person can do 1,000 number of times of transactions. So hence it is difficult for us. So next we have the security risk. Vulnerabilities such as 51% attacks. So this can threat the network. Okay. Next we have regulatory compliance. So adapting to changing the government regulations is very challenging one. So when each government is going to change for 5 years, every 5 years, so each one of the governments will make their own rules and regulations, laws and regulations, right? So it is very difficult to adapt those changes of laws and regulations. That will be very challenging for them. Next, interoperability. That means different blockchain platforms often cannot communicate seamlessly. Next, higher energy consumption. So some consensus mechanism consume the significant electricity. Next, privacy versus transparency. Balancing user privacy with transparent transactions is very difficult. So these are the challenges we need to overcome in the blockchain. Okay. So till now we discussed regarding the blockchain. So what is the blockchain? What is distributed? Then what is distributed ledger? Then so what is centralized, decentralized? What are the advantages? So what are the features of blockchain? Then what is called hashing? And also we come across the limitations and challenges what we are facing in the blockchain. So in this session, we discussed regarding what is blockchain and how the structure follows and how the blockchain works and what is called hashing process and what are the features, advantages and what are the limitations and challenges that blockchain is facing. So in the next session, I'm going to discuss regarding the unit 2, so which is going to cover the topic called cryptography in blockchain, how we are going to use this. Okay. So till then, keep studying. Thank you.